What is good, people? Welcome to the Wavy Baller Hub. This is the Wavy United podcast. I'm your host, Temi, and if this is your first time watching, make sure to hit that like button for me, hit the subscribe button, and follow the movement. You feel me? We have a big, big cup final this weekend against Newcastle United at Wembley. I cannot wait. It's been 5 years plus in the making for us to have this moment again. So I cannot wait. I have a Newcastle United fan with me today to discuss the game, actually. She has been featured on Sky Sports and a lot of other really big platforms in the UK. I'm really excited to have her on the channel. She's been here before. But I got my girl KENDALL with me. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really, really good. Thank you. I'm laughing because you said it's been 5+ years since you guys have been at a final. It's been 24 years for us. So, yeah, a lot to play for on Sunday, definitely. But
Yeah.
thank you for having me as always.
That's good. How are you, by the way? Let's before we even get started, how are you feeling? You feel good? You excited? Nervous? What are your emotions like leading into
Yeah,
this?
mixture of all of the above, really. Yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm really just excited to go and experience it because I've never ever seen us in a cup final. So this is like
Mm,
new territory for me. I don't know what to expect. I don't know
yeah.
what's gonna happen. I'm just really. I've never actually been to like inside of Wembley.
Mm,
I've been outside of Wembley so many times. I've never actually been inside to watch Newcastle play. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun weekend no matter what
yeah.
happens. But obviously we all want to come away with a win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just going to enjoy the moment because I'm sure that there's more to come.
No, I'm sure you guys have turned things around drastically in the past year or so. Obviously, new ownership. And I think you guys have done it the right way, in my opinion. Not like going for the Galactico signings. You really bought, within the Premier
Yeah.
League. Been really smart about the way you've handled your business. I think, your ownership group is really smart in the way they've handled things. And yeah, I doubt this will be the last time we see Newcastle in a cup final over the next couple of seasons. So this is a really exciting one, and I'm nervous. I can't lie. This is definitely. We already faced each other this year, and I think it was a 0-0 draw. So a very, but you guys, I thought played better in that game. If I'm being honest with you,
Yeah.
from what I remember, it was quite a few months back. But I'm nervous. I can't lie. I think this is a. I think a lot of United fans are maybe too confident. Obviously, we just beat Barcelona over two legs, and I feel good about that. But this is a completely different type of, it's just a different type of energy. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain it to you, but yeah, no, it's going to be a very, very intense, um, intense game. The crowd is going to be ridiculous. I envy you. I know you're going to be heading there. I wish I could be in that atmosphere. But yeah, no, let's talk about your team really quickly. What do you, from an injury perspective, do you have an idea of what players who will be missing, or is your squad fully fit? What's it looking like there?
Yeah, the squad is fully fit as far as we're aware. Nobody is missing. However, obviously we are without Nick Pope, not through an injury. So we will be getting having our fourth choice goalkeeper in nets. Because for anyone who isn't aware, it's and why it's our fourth choice and not our second. So obviously everyone watching this probably knows that Nick Pope got a red card, a straight red card.
Yep.
Um, in the game against Liverpool, so he cannot play. Our second goalkeeper is Martin Dubravka, who was actually on loan and played in the cup for Manchester United, which means that he is cup tied, so you cannot
Yep.
play for more than one team in a cup in a season,
Hmm.
in a domestic cup. So he's cup tied, so he can't play. And our third choice goalkeeper in Carl Darlow, he actually went out on loan in January to Hull City. So
Wow.
Loris Carriers, God bless
Loris.
him, is our fourth choice goalkeeper. We are just very lucky that we actually extended his contract in January because it would have actually been our fifth choice goalkeeper in nets, which would have been Mark Gillespie, who has not played a professional game for us since he signed 3 years ago.
Wow.
Well, I think
Wow.
I think he has when KENDALL was injured and Martin Dubravka was injured. But I mean, this is going back probably 3 years at least. So he hasn't played at least under Eddie Howe, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think he has played probably 1 or 2 games maximum. I don't think he's probably played more than that. So yeah, just very Newcastle United-esque things. But you know what? I'm kind of hoping the storyline for Karius is a good one, because this is like a big. Imagine you basically have no career because you flopped in a Champions League final where you were actually concussed, and then you get picked up by another Premier League club, obviously Newcastle, and you play in their first cup final. Your first game for them is a cup final.
It's crazy.
The first cup final in 24 years, so it's mad. But I hope the storyline is good. But yeah, other than that, injury-wise, we're our starting 11's fine.
Okay. Fair enough. And yeah, I honestly on Saturday when Pope made that mistake, I celebrated. I was so happy. Like I'm like, I can't like what I couldn't have painted a better picture for United like in that moment. Like Pope just, I don't know, very strange of him because that's not the type of keeper he is, right? To like do something like that. And then obviously we played, like you just mentioned, we played Dubravka, who's a good keeper in my opinion, in the cup. Yeah, and then Karius, who's a Liverpool legend for the wrong reasons, right? Yeah, it's gonna be that's interesting, but I honestly the chances that he makes a drastic, like I'm talking about like one of those errors he made in the Champions League final, like I don't it's slim, but it obviously if I was a Newcastle fan, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be pretty nervous about that. But no, it's gonna be interesting. Now, from a United perspective, Martial is the only person who's been deemed not fit, but he's never fit. So that's nothing. that's nothing new. Shout out to my guy NS Sports. Much love. Big up Wavy and KENDALL. Much love, bro. Make sure to share that with your friends. Hit the like button for me, bro. Thank you so much. We're trying to get this to 20 likes on this stream. So guys, anyone who's watching, make sure to smash the like button for me. But yeah, no, outside of that, let's talk about just tactically. You guys have played a 4-3-3, right, for most of the season. I know there's been a few injuries here and there. Bruno G just came back, right, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he came back from suspension. He got a red card in the league, actually. No, he didn't. I don't think he did, actually. It might have been against Southampton. It was against Southampton, sorry, in the semi-final. So, yeah, so he's just come back after a 3-game ban as well. Right on time.
No, yeah, same thing with Casemiro. He's actually coming back from a 3-game ban. So from a Newcastle perspective, what are the things maybe that worry you about Manchester United's team the most? Maybe the certain positions, a certain player that you've been maybe gives you trepidation?
Everything at the moment, because you guys seem to be on an upward trajectory and we kind of are on a little bit of a downward one at the moment. Not negatively, like very badly down, but compared to where we have been for most of the season, yeah, we kind of, our form's dipped, our goal scoring's dipped. We've obviously lost only our 2nd game of the season in the league last week. So yeah, it's a little bit frustrating that we're kind of meeting you guys at a time where you are on form and probably one of the most on-form teams in Europe right now. Marcus Rashford is probably one of the best players in Europe right now. So for me, obviously, it's a little bit of a worry. I know there's been talk around Twitter like last night and tonight, because he did come off with an injury yesterday. I think he'll be fine. I think it's just complete mind games and a sort of, it's a little sprinkling of trying to get Eddie Howe to second guess his tactics and stuff, and his team formation, things like that. But I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But obviously, yeah, he massively worries me because at this point he's just inevitable. Like, he is playing probably the best football of his career at the moment. He has been man of every single match at this point with his goals. So he massively worries me. I know a lot of people get worried with us with St. Maximin because he's so unpredictable, and that's similar to me in terms of Anthony, because he's just one of those players like you can't defend against a player like Anthony because you don't know what they're going to do. Whether or not he starts, I'm not sure, but he's looked okay the last couple of games he's played. He's looked a lot better than he has anyway, and obviously he did score yesterday, didn't he? So Yeah, so it's a little bit concerning for me. Obviously, midfield battle's going to be interesting with Casemiro and Bruno,
Yeah.
who I think probably two of the best midfielders in the league this season as well. Um, so yeah, it's going to be interesting
It's
to
gonna
say
be
the least.
interesting. I know it's
Yeah.
it's it's a weird one for me too. Like from my perspective, I'm worried because I think defensively you guys have been
Mm,
so good. I think a lot of that has to do with the work that the midfielders do. You feel me? I
yeah.
think that Joe Linton is a dog. He's a
Yeah.
workhorse. Bruno's a workhorse, right? And that helps you guys out defensively a lot. We had a terrible start to the season, so our defensive record doesn't look as good as we actually are
Yeah.
defensively. Like I think our defenses are really strong too. But I think offensively we do score goals, but I still think there's a lot to improve from us going forward. Like we rely heavily on Marcus's goals right now. Like if Marcus isn't scoring a lot of the times, it's very, very tricky for us. Yesterday he didn't score assists, and we won, which is very abnormal because
Mm.
feels like he's been scoring every single game. But yeah, no, from my perspective, I definitely worry about that midfield battle, right? It's probably going to be Casemiro and Fred for us in midfield. I wish Erickson was playing because before he got hurt, he was really playing at an extremely high level. But I think for me, it's can we break down your defense? Will you guys sit back? I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens there, like in terms of how you guys choose to play,
Yeah.
because I don't think you guys really sit back a ton. I think you guys are, try and go for it more often than not. But what do you think about that? Do you think Eddie's gonna be a bit more pragmatic in this game? Do you think he'll ask the likes of, say Maximin and Almiron to be a bit more reserved? I don't know if that's the right word, but what are your thoughts on how he'll approach the game?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be interesting to see how I do approach the game because realistically, I was on a stream earlier and they were saying, oh, you play Atletico football, you play 4-4-2 Brexit ball. We don't at all. If anyone's watched us this season, we don't. The only
Mm-hmm.
game that I remember us sitting back in is against Arsenal earlier this year,
Mm-hmm.
which I completely understood why, because they were straight out of the blocks, pace, lightning quick press immediately. So I understood why we sat back in that game. However, just based on the way that you guys are playing at the moment, the fact that you press really high at the minute, and you've got those unpredictable wingers, and obviously Marcus Rashford as well, I do think we'll probably enter this game more pragmatically. I don't think we'll sit back necessarily, but it will suit us to counter rather than press
Mm-hmm.
really high in this game and consistently be on like forward thinking attack. So yeah, I do think you'll see a lot more, as I say, not sitting back necessarily because we don't really want to get complacent, but yeah, a lot more pragmatism. Even when we lost at the weekend against Liverpool, we didn't sit back, even though it was 2-0.
Right.
We didn't sit
Yeah.
back. We still
Yeah.
continued trying. It was just our own fault that we weren't clinical enough with the goals, which has been kind of the narrative for about 2 months now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do think we'll probably see a little bit more
Mm.
of a tactical pragmatism, if you will, from Eddie this weekend, definitely.
Yeah, much love out of J3. That's a really cute dog in your profile picture, by the way.
Thanks.
How is Alexander Isak coming along, and is Callum Wilson fit? I guess that's a Kendall question right there.
Yeah, so Callum Wilson, Eddie Howe did say that he'll be back for this weekend. So yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fully fit for this weekend. Sorry, and Isak, yeah, you know what? I'm one of his biggest fans. I think he's so good now. I was his biggest fan even before we signed him. I've raved about this guy for 2 years. For the most part anyway in La Liga, and I think he's such a versatile forward. It's really a forward that you don't see a lot in the Premier League because he's like 6'4". He is
Yeah.
but he's got like pace. He's really good as well, like on the wing. He's not necessarily a winger, if you will, but he can play like pretty much across the front line. And you don't get that a lot from players. It is a little bit more common now in terms of modern football, but you don't get that a lot from players. So yeah, I really like him. It's just unfortunate that he got the biggest injury of his career 3 games into his new career at Newcastle, but he is still
Right.
really young. And when I watch him play, I just know that he'll be fine. I know that he's going to be a good player no matter what. It's just getting there because we've been on a dip of form, so he's
Mm-hmm.
kind of being in a dip of form as well. So he just
Yeah.
needs a consistent run to figure out where he's going to fit into the team.
Yeah.
And because obviously Callum Wilson's our number 9, and it's been that way for 3 years now. So, yeah, just need to figure out where he's going to fit into the team. But I think he's a great footballer, and I think he'll be absolutely fine.
No, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So for those maybe Manchester United fans who aren't watching, Kendall, can you predict your starting 11 for the Cup final game?
Yeah, I think probably anyone who watches Premier League football can probably predict our 11 at this point.
Yeah.
We've pretty much had the same starting 11, injuries aside, for the whole
Mm-hmm.
season. So, obviously, apart from the goalkeeper, because it's been Nick Pope, but
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be Karius in goal, that's for definite. And then it'll be Trippier, Sharp, Botman, and Dan Burn. The midfield, I'm actually not sure what he's going to do, because with Bruno missing, Joe Linton's been occupying the wing in a lineup, but it's kind of been Willock there. But Willock is back now, and so is Bruno. But then Longstaff and Joe Linton, have been playing. So that's the part I'm not sure what he's going to do there. I think just if we're going in taking a pragmatic approach, I think it'll be Longstaff, Bruno, and Joe Linton in there. And then it'll probably be St. Maximin, Wilson, and Almiron as the front 3. I don't think Isak will start because we kind of would probably rather him come off the bench if that was needed to be. So, yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. Yeah, and it's kind of for us, we pretty much know who our starting 11 is going to be, right? It's going to be De Gea and goal, obviously, Shaw left back, Lisandro Martinez, Rafael Varane, and then maybe the question mark is right back, right? Will Dalot start? Will Aaron Wan-Bissaka start? I'm going to lean towards Dalot. Only because I think that's Ten Hag's preferred guy when he's fit. He's not been fit for the past couple of weeks, but he's getting back. He's been getting back into fitness, playing games and stuff. So I think it'll be Dalot. In midfield, it's going to be Casemiro and probably Fred. I'm like 90% sure it's going to be Fred. Sabitzer maybe. I think Sabitzer's a better player than Fred, but he's, I think he's still getting into the swing of being a United player and all that good stuff. And asking him to start in a cup final would be a lot, in my opinion. Bruno's going to probably play at number 10. He's been playing off the right over the past few weeks. But that being said, Anthony's back now. He's back, and he's obviously had a huge first half or a huge second half against Barcelona. So I think he'll just start. I think he'll just get that right wing spot. Rashford will get that left wing spot, and Wout Weghorst, I'm guessing, will be the starter up top. Devin Yaboa says, watch Karius turn into prime Buffon and Neuer. I doubt it, but no, anything is possible. Anything is possible. NS Sports TV says, question for both of you: do you see your managers managing their national teams in the future? Yeah. I'm speaking for Ten Hag. I'm sure he'll get that Dutch job at one point, and I'm sure Eddie Howe will be England's manager one day. I would put whatever amount of money on that.
Yeah,
But
I think so.
yeah.
I agree. I think it will be once his job is done here, I guess. I hope it's not anytime soon. Honestly, I really don't. But once he's had, I think he's probably a shoe-in for the next England manager. Definitely, he's probably. It would have been him or Potter, obviously, and the way things are going with. Well, you never know actually, because obviously I don't know if Potter's going to last the season out with Chelsea. I really don't. Despite them saying that he's a long-term manager, I just can't see it. So you never know. After next year, Gareth Southgate might decide that he doesn't want to go on, and Potter might take over once he leaves Chelsea. But yeah, I think Eddie Howe will be England manager 100%.
Yeah, let's talk about Eddie Howe real quick. I think the job he's done at Newcastle United has been absolutely spectacular. From going to Bournemouth, where I think he did such an underrated job at what he did at Bournemouth, and then the step from Bournemouth to Newcastle, in my opinion, is huge. Right, Newcastle is a humongous club, worldwide renowned. There's, I have Newcastle fans, that I know in the States, right? So it's a big club, and the fact that he's been able to galvanize this team, re-inspire some players like Joe Linton, right? Completely turned his Newcastle career around. What are your thoughts on Eddie Howe and what he's done for your club?
Yeah, I always said the most important signing we've ever made is Eddie Howe. He did literally the impossible last season, keeping us up because we didn't have a win in 14 games. Our first 14 games of the season, no one has actually ever stayed up from that point. In Premier League history, they've always been relegated. So the fact that he kept us up and actually got us to 11th last season, in that respect, is crazy. And then just to continue our good form going into this year, the World Cup came at a really poor time for us, because we were on such good momentum in the first part of the season, and it would have been nice to continue that. But on the other hand, it did allow players like Isak to come back at the time because he was injured, so it allowed him like a couple of months extra to rehab and things like that. But yeah, the improvement, every single player in the squad's improved, and now it's got to a point where I'll be sad to see anyone go. And before, you've probably been in this position, I was like, sell everyone. Like 2 years ago, I was like, just get rid of everyone and start again, fold. But yeah, no, honestly, I would be sad to see any of them go. Joel Linton has been one of the most informed midfielders in the league this season. And we haven't gone mad on. We've spent money, but not like significant amounts where you're like, like it's 200 million. We spent really, really well. Our backline, like Trippier, was just a ridiculous signing, and he's ended up being our captain in such a short space of time. So, yeah, just everybody's been incredible. And there was always one qualm, I guess, about Eddie Howe from everyone, the media, from fans, and it was that he couldn't organise a defence, and we've got the best defensive record in the league. So, yeah, I think he's proven everyone wrong, and I'm really, really happy for him. He's just an incredible manager, and he's a coach, and he's just an incredible man as well. He does so much for the team and so much for the community, and yeah, he's just really, really just fantastic. And I don't think no matter what he does now going forward, like, I don't think he'll ever be looked down upon by us at all. He's just, he's brought hope and life back to the club, probably similar in a way to Ten Hag. So yeah, I think he'll be, he's just he's an absolute legend getting us where he is right now.
No, I empathize with that. I feel that, you know, we have a new manager in 7 months, and he's completely changed everything for us. Like, you know, the players that we used to think are terrible, you know, for instance, Fred, right? I used to berate Fred, and sometimes I still do. But the fact that he's made Fred somebody who you can, you know, really not worry too much about on the pitch, and he you know, there's so many different players. Even Marcus Rashford, man, I was done. I was completely done with him. I was like, if he leaves, so be it. And he's completely turned him around. So it's great to see that. I think this is for both teams, this is almost like a summit point in a weird, not in a bad way, but it's like all this work that the teams have been putting in, the managers have been putting in. Now we have this opportunity for us to, you know, get some silverware. And, you know, for you said it's been 24 years, which is crazy to think about that. You know, Newcastle have been that long without, you know, being in a cup final. For me, obviously, I'm a bit spoiled, right? We've been in cup finals, right? We were in a cup final in 2019 and absolutely shit the bed, right? It was ridiculous. I don't even want to think about that. But yeah, no, it's going to be a fun, no matter what happens, it's going to be a fun, you know, Sunday. And I think that both of these clubs, right, we're probably going to have new ownership in the summer. You guys have new owners. Like, there's going to be it's going to be a trajectory of positivity, I think, for both of these clubs. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. So real quick, before we head out, we'll do a combined 11. We might argue a bit, okay, but I'm fine with it. I'll hold my own. You know what I'm saying? I'll hold my own with you. But let's start. Okay, let's start in goal. Do I want to put Karius in there? It's not even fair. Let's do Nick Pope. Let's just pretend Nick Pope.
Yeah, it's got to be Nick Pope. Karius hasn't played for us in the cup technically. I don't think he has all in the league this season. So it's got to be Nick Pope
or De Gea. Nick Pope or De Gea. This is already going to be a fun one.
I think it's got to be Nick Pope just because of defensive record, and I think he's been probably one of the best goalkeepers. Well, if not the best goalkeeper in the league this season. So, I would obviously say Nick Pope. I don't think it's been De Gea's best season. I think he's had much better seasons. But I also don't think it's been his worst. He's kind of just it's like weird... classic De Gea, like him and Alisson. Like, I know Liverpool are doing a lot worse than Man United this season, but I think they're both really, really good goalkeepers. They've just it's just been one of those things this season, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'll you know what? I'm not even going to argue with you on that one. I think Nick Pope this season has been excellent outside of that crazy moment this past weekend. De Gea is someone I have a soft spot for. I think a lot of United fans are kind of done with him. He doesn't distribute the ball well, all that good stuff. But I think he's made a lot of critical saves for us this season, i.e. this yesterday, huge save he made to keep us in the game, or to, to keep us, just right there in the thick of it. So yeah, no, I'll give it to Nick Pope. I think De Gea is a better keeper, but I'll give it to Nick Pope.
Yes.
That's just me. At right back, this is Trippier, or I'll just say Diogo Dalot for this one. I think this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's got to be Trippier. I think he's probably been one of the best fullbacks in Europe in terms of form this season. So he's never below 7.5 out of 10. Like, never even had a bad day. It's just crazy. And I've loved him for a lot of years, even before he was at Newcastle. So, it's got probably Trippier.
I say Atletico product too. So I know you have
exactly. Everyone always used to laugh, right? Because whenever I used to do shows like for Champions League, and everyone would always say, "Oh, you know what? Just out of curiosity, if you could take one player from Atleti to go to Newcastle, who would it be?" And I always said Trippier, and everyone always used to be like, that's really weird, because at the time, obviously, Suarez was playing for us, João Felix, Marcos Llorente, things like that. And everyone else used to be like, that's a really weird choice. I'm like, honestly, you don't understand that we've never had a decent... Like, for a number of years, probably 20 years, we've never had a good right-back at Newcastle United. The last one was, like, Warren Barton, which was, like, the 90s. And we've never had a decent right-back. So that's why I always said, because I believe that if he came to Newcastle and had a really good link-up with someone on the right wing, we would score a lot more goals. Lo and behold, literally the exact thing came true, and him and Almiron's have got a great partnership now. So yeah, it's got to be Trippier for me.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Okay, I think it's Cher who's on your, is it Botman on your right side or Cher? I can't remember.
It's Cher.
It's Cher. Okay, thanks. So Cher or Raphael Varane? I'm sorry.
I think it's got to be Varane, even though I love Cher, right? And honestly, he cost us 3.5 million. He's worth everything. He's literally made that back tenfold. Crazy. So yeah, I love Cher, but for me, like, Varane is just that much more experienced, better defender. Despite the fact that probably, again, he's not been at his very, 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 very highest level at Manchester United since he joined. But yeah, I still think he's such a good defender.
Yeah, no, I think last season, I mean, he had Harry Maguire next to him, which is just not fair, with all due respect. Harry Maguire made him look bad. No joke. But this season he's been absolutely spectacular, right? Outside of, even those first couple of games where we were playing terribly, he was still fine, right? So Varane, I think, has to be a lock in here. At left center back, it's Martinez versus Sven Botman. Where would you go with this one? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
So I did a combined 11 with for the Carabao Cup, and I was surprised because actually 6 Newcastle players got in and 5 Manchester United players got in, but it was like based off the whole season, I guess, and the whole like cup campaign and stuff like that. So we did actually do Varane and Botman at the back, and I'm happy with that, because honestly, Botman, my dad says, since Jonathan Woodgate, he's like never seen a centre-back as good as Sven Botman. He's so calm on the ball. He is just so composed. Nothing's ever a problem for him. He's still really young. He's still 22. And he's elite. Like, every time I'm watching, like, the level, you can just see how good of a good quality he is. He's just absolutely fantastic. Although I do think Martinez has proved a lot of people wrong. A lot of people said he wouldn't cope with the physicality of the Premier League. I think it was more due to, like, heightist, if you want to call it that.
He's short.
But he's proved a lot of people wrong, and I think, again, he's been really, really fantastic. But just simply because we've got the best defensive record in the league, I think you've got to have at least one Newcastle defender in there, 100%.
I'm so torn, because I think Lisandro Martinez is... there's not enough superlatives for how good he is, in my opinion. Like, I'm obviously a United bias, all that stuff. But his ability on the ball is ridiculous. He's the one who dictates, what happens at the back for us, not Raphael Varane, right? He's the one who's picking passes out of the back, finding those gaps to play balls into midfield. He's tenacious. He wins headers, even though he's 5 foot. I think it's generous to give him 5'9". Honestly, he might be short. He might be shorter than that, and he's winning.
Yeah,
but like
he is.
yesterday, it felt like he won every single header yesterday against Barcelona. I'll give you Botman, but only because you're my girl, Kendall. So I'll just give it to you because because you're my girl.
To be fair,
That's
to
my
Martinez
reason.
as well, I don't think he hasn't been at that high level the whole season. I think especially lately when you guys have been on form, he's been really good. But obviously,
yeah, he started
I
the
think
season.
the
Start of this,
start of the
yeah,
season
first couple
shaky,
of weeks.
yeah.
The first couple of weeks, it was again Maguire was playing next to him. I'm sorry, it's just true.
What even? Do you know what? I haven't seen Harry Maguire for months. Like genuinely, I haven't heard anything about him. I haven't seen anything about him for months. The captain,
play.
you know.
He doesn't. Yeah, I know he's our club captain. What a joke. He doesn't play. I mean, listen, I think he's an Everton level center back, right? I think that's his level, but he just got so overhyped by the media. Like, it's ridiculous. I can name literally probably 20, 30 center backs in England who play in England that are better than him. So it's ridiculous. Anyway, he's probably going to be gone next year, and I wish him the best. Left back, Dan Burn versus Luke Shaw. It's got to be Luke Shaw. I
think it's probably got to be Luke Shaw in terms of player ability. I think Luke Shaw's a better player. But honestly, what a job Dan Burn's done. He's not a left back.
He's quality. He's a centre back.
He's and honestly, what a job he's done. He slotted in there absolutely fine. Matt Targett got injured, and yeah, he's been just key, just completely key. I just cannot.
I like Dan Burn at Brighton. I liked him a lot at Brighton. I thought he was quality because they were playing in the back three at the time. I'm like, man, this guy is really, really good. Like I remember, like I think I probably spent a lot of time watching Brighton when Graham Potter was there. I haven't watched as much of them this season, even though they've been still doing really well. But yeah, Dan Burn, I saw that a mile away. When you guys signed him, I was like, that's a very, very good signing that you guys have. And now he's playing left back and doing a great job. So yeah, but got to give it to Luke Shaw. In midfield, we play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. We'll just pick three midfielders. Casemiro has to be in there, right? Like I don't think.
Yeah, I think Casemiro and Bruno G just have to be in
Bruno
there
G have to be in there. Yeah, I don't even think we need to talk about that, right? And then the third midfield position. I saw you talking a little trash about Bruno Fernandes yesterday on Twitter. So
he's just such an unlikable character. If you're not a Man United fan, he's just one of them people. Like I just can't stand him. Like I just hate him in general. I can't, like honestly, and I used to be like to be fair, I used to be like that with Anthony Gordon as well. But obviously now he's Newcastle players. So now I like him, but I obviously know why Man United fans like him. I completely get it. But honestly, he's unbearable. Like he's just an unbearable person. Like I mean, it might be a nice person. I don't mean it in terms of personality, but like on the pitch, he's just I can't stand it. It's like, stop whinging. Like you whinge about everything. Stop. But yeah, I still think he's a good player. He's bad vibes. Like when you're not.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. If I wasn't a Manchester United fan, I'd probably feel the exact same way because he does. Even sometimes I'm like, man, just get on with it, man. Just get on with it. Yeah. Yesterday he absolutely he like kicked a ball into Frankie de Jong's stomach, just like out of this on some petulant, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna it started a whole melee, started a whole fight. I'm just like, that's Bruno. That's kind of what he does. That's kind of his personality. Yeah. But I think he has to be in that midfield three. If we're being objective, I think what he's done this season, unless you want to have a shout for somebody else, I think Bruno probably has.
Do you know what? Honestly, I think like I could put anyone in there. And it wouldn't like from Newcastle. I could pick anyone because if we've just been everyone's improved and everyone's so good. But like in terms of player quality, like what I would want to get in there is Joe Linton. But in terms of player quality, I think obviously Bruno plays a little bit different. He's played as a 10 as well recently. So, I think Bruno can go in there for me. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, and then the front three we have, obviously, I think up top it's if Martial was fit, I think it'd be him, but he's never fit, so I can't even give him that. I genuinely can't even give him that. Now we have a question of, would you throw this Marcus Rashford up top so you can get St. Maximin in there, what would what is your
Saint Maximin's a good player, right? But just this season, he's played like what,
mm,
probably like a handful of games.
yeah, he's been hurt, right?
Yeah, he's been injured, and then he wasn't getting chosen for the team. But lately, he's played 2 games, and he's looked like the old Saint Maximin again, which is just music
Mm,
to my ears. Anyway, but yeah, I probably wouldn't put Max in there. I would 100% have Rashford in there, and I'll probably
mm,
have Almiron in there as well.
mm,
And just because it depends where you want to play Rashford. If you want to put him as a winger in a front three, if you want to put him as the striker in a
mm,
front three,
mm,
depending on where you put Rashford, then obviously up front, if as a 9, you would probably just put Wilson in there, just
yeah.
because Weghorst has not been there that long.
Mm,
And Isak again hasn't played many games, and there's not really another number 9.
yeah.
But if you were going to put Rashford up front, then I still think you would have Almiron on one wing, and obviously whoever on the other wing, Anthony, Sancho, whoever on the other side, whoever plays there.
Mm. Yeah. I'm gonna make an executive decision here just so we throw in 2 United players.
Typical.
I will just I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. So we'll put Almiron on the right. That's fair. I think Almiron has been brilliant. Like I've criticized Anthony a lot, so I'm not even gonna argue the Almiron versus Anthony thing this season.
Yeah.
So I'll give it to Almiron. On the left, it's a weird one because Sancho's just now getting back into the fold.
Yeah.
Rashford plays there a majority of the time. On a different day, I probably would have put St. Maximin there, but he's just I think St. Maximin at his peak is a quality player.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna have to throw Sancho in there. I just have to throw Sancho in there, especially because over the past couple of weeks he has been playing really well.
I think Sancho's absolutely phenomenal footballer. I think he's so good, and I'm so glad to actually see him back now.
Yeah.
Even though obviously it's not for my taste, why would you be glad? But just in terms of player, like I think he's so good, and the fact that the club has allowed him to spend that time away that
Yeah,
he needed
it was
come
great.
back mentally, then yeah, I think a lot of clubs could learn from that, really.
Yeah, I think how Ten Hag managed that situation was surprising. It was really impressive, and I
How
think
Ten
Sancho.
Hag's managed every situation since he got to the club's been
Yeah,
exceptional.
he's made every
exceptional.
he's every decision he's gotten right. Honestly, it's been crazy to think about. But yeah, no. So I'll throw Sancho on that left hand side. I'll put Marcus Rashford up top. Yeah, no, or do I put Martial up top? I don't know. Anyway, that's what we'll do. I'll make these. It's Sancho on the left, Rashford through the middle, and then Almiron to the right. And we have a combined 11. You see how easy that was, guys. But no, I want to shout out KENDALL again. Thank you so much for doing this with me, guys. Everyone who's been in the comments, make sure to smash the like button. KENDALL, make sure to follow all her information. Her information is in the description of this live stream, so make sure to follow her on all her social media platforms. I think I got IG on there, Twitter on there, and what else? TikTok. I put TikTok on there too. So yeah, make sure to show KENDALL some love on all her platforms. Guys, thank you so much again for hopping on this stream. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're very close to 350 subscribers. Yeah, so continue to show love. KENDALL, again, thank you so much, Queen. I appreciate
Thank you for having me as always. Thank you.
Of course. And guys, we will talk very, very shortly, okay? Deuces.